Hey guys, this podcast is fueled by our main man, Daniel Martinez. Check him out right now at his site, www.martinez.law. He's in your corner. Call him at any time, 844-523-3733. That's 844-523-3733. Daniel Martinez, the law offices of Daniel Martinez, in your corner. Also, it's fueled by our guys at Fusion CBD Products. Check out the mother site right now at fusioncbdproducts.com. Guys, they are giving out 50% off the coffee packs, the 6-pack of water, usually $39, it's $19.50, and of course right now the CBD infused relief rub. I talked to the owner about it. You have to get it. All the products, you know I'm a water guy. I love the water, but that CBD infused relief rub is where it's at. Go get it right now at FusionCBDProducts.com. That's FusionCBDProducts.com. Hello, world. What's up, guys? Dave Van Auken, Fight Bananas Podcast. How's everyone doing? All right, we're pretty pumped today. Usually it's me and a guest. We're going to try a little something different this time. It's almost, I feel like, co-hosty-ish. Lauren Bensinger, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, David?
Doing good. Yeah, it's usually, when you get in an Uber, it's a driver, and then there's people in the back, the people want to go somewhere. But I feel like me and you I want to drive together, a front seat, your passenger seat.
Yes, definitely with the co-hosting.
I love it. So, cool. First, I would love to kind of give you the platform, hit on how you got into MMA, what you're doing now, a couple of those kind of things, and then I'll just pick and choose, and we'll just kind of let it roll.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what was it? What was that first moment? Especially, mixed martial arts, it felt like for females, it wasn't a huge thing until, Ronda Rousey, to me, really broke that glass ceiling. Tell me if I'm wrong on it, but it just seems like that was the start, and now it's, hey, I get more excited for a lot of the female fights than even the male fights on the UFC cards of that nature. Was it that moment for you? Were you in love with mixed martial arts before the Rousey effect?
Yeah, me being a Taekwondo martial artist and doing that for, pretty much the entire duration of my life and transitioning to MMA, right when it became mainstream, I really didn't have much knowledge of the sport. I didn't really watch it on TV. I wasn't really a fan. And, then I see this beautiful woman who is also, an Olympic caliber athlete. I went to the 2015 World University Games, so I can respect her judo credentials. And when I saw her on TV, it definitely inspired me. And, there's no doubt she opened doors for women's MMA. And she brought a lot of exposure and attention to the vets that were already, fighting their way through the industry, such as Miesha Tate, Amanda Nunes. And she definitely had a huge impact and used, that judo to run through the division. And that's very similar to how I have utilized my Taekwondo with MMA.
Nice. And people kind of get on me a little bit. So I'm going to rewind it for a little bit. It feels like, I'm a Ronda Rousey guy. I love me some Ronda. I really think she broke through to that next level. And then some people, older mixed martial art fans or coaches, they always get on me about Gina. They always say, hey, Gina Carano, if it wasn't Gina, there would be no Ronda and all of that. And they're probably right. So I want to give Gina some love for one, but I think Gina took it to a level and then Ronda Rousey leveled it up. I think Ronda Rousey broke through the UFC into pay-per-views, into commercials, and really took it to the next level. That's my 2 cents on it.
Well, yeah, there are fighters who, are complete veterans, such as Gina and Miesha Tate and Nunes. And then there are fighters who just uplifted the industry with little experience compared to these vets. And that's what separates Ronda Rousey from these other women, her impact on the UFC as a whole. So, she definitely opened the door in that sense.
Okay, so that's, like I said, we're just going to kind of let it roll. So when Holly Holm, who just fought this past weekend, when Holly Holm head kicked Rousey, and it was kind of early too, especially it's so funny now. I've watched so many fights, and I've even commentated on fights, regional scene, and stuff towards UFC Fight Pass, and watching almost every fight this whole pandemic year. There's been a fight every weekend. Almost. I would say I'm probably around 90-95% after the first 30 seconds of a fight, 45 seconds. I'm going to go, hey, red corner's going to get it, blue corner. And I'm pretty good pre-fight, and we're starting to bet on some fights here. We have a podcast underneath us, Inside the Distance. They bet on fights, and we're doing pretty well. But sometimes, even when I have a bet on, just say, the blue corner, and then the red corner throws 3 jabs, and it hits it super clean, I'm like, oh, that's lost money. That's gone. You know what I mean? And I just feel like when Holly Holm first round against Rousey, I was like, oh, this is over. Like, this is going to happen. Of course, the head kick happened, and now Holmes had an amazing career. I would love your take on that fight, Holly Holm, and what she's still doing. She's still going strong. She just won a UFC main event. It's bananas.
Yeah, well, you can see the separation of experience. Holly Holm is a world champion, elite boxer. She has a extensive amount of credentials with her stand-up game compared to Ronda. Ronda's credentials as a martial artist came from, primarily ground combat with judo and jiu-jitsu. So, being a mixed martial artist, you have to implement every style of combat into your game. That is the key. And you can see the separation of experience there when, Ronda was standing with Holly. You have a boxer versus a judo martial artist. So I think, it showed a little bit of her inexperience as a mixed martial artist as a whole and what, she lacked as a part of her game. It was certainly, a good fight, strong fight, but, it's one. I think that inclusively it's a matchup between 2 martial artists and, factoring in all levels of combat within the cage, you have to be prepared in every area. And you have a world champion boxer with the best takedown defense on top of that versus a judo martial artist with an exponential ground game who thrives off of her takedowns. Not the best matchup for Ronda.
Right.
And you can see where, she got outclassed. So I think it comes down to skill level and experience in all areas. But it was a great fight. And I think Ronda did a phenomenal job with, uplifting the women within the UFC industry. She definitely can own that to this day.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's kind of a funny question, and it kind of, with me with kids, and there's a local gym here that's made UFC fighters, and we go in there all the time, and it's a great time. And I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and it's kind of a fun question that I ask fighters, I ask family members, I ask people all the time. It's just to me a really one of those just open-ended questions. If your daughter or son was becoming a mixed martial artist, or whoever it was, someone that you love dearly, and they're like, what one trait? What's the one thing you want me to learn first? What's the one technique you want me to be the greatest in the world at? And then I can, add this and this and this and this to the soup. What would be that one? What would it be for you? If you had that one amazing trait, skill, technique, what would that be?
I think character-wise, to be a successful athlete, martial artist, work ethic. Nothing can supplement how hard you work. And at the end of the day, when that cage door locks, it deciphers who put in the time during the camp, who dedicated themselves to the fight. And, the hard workers prevail, always. So I think dedication and working hard is something that just can't be beat.
Right. In life. Literally in life. Yeah, for sure, Lauren. Like in anything, like work ethic, in anything you do. If you want to be a postal worker, if you want to be a dad of good work ethic, of course, a mixed martial artist, because there's no. It's so funny you say that because, like, in college football, teams have, hours they can practice. Like, sometimes in a weird way, they want everyone to stay in the same norm, stay around the same. So you can't get so much better than your competition. In mixed martial artists, especially professional MMA, especially at the toppest level, UFC, if a guy wants to train 20 hours a day, 6 days or 7 days a week, whatever it is, they can go after it. So I kind of am with you there. I am that guy. I am a chip on the shoulder guy. I am a grounder guy. Never happy. It's just I always want what's next. It's probably not the best way to live. I try to tone it down sometimes, but I am that guy as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, but let's get more into you. I really want the people, the Fight Bananas community, more learn about you. And so you said you kind of, around that 2015, 2016, when was your first amateur fight? What was your debut?
I believe my debut was 2015.
Okay, so now, all right, and what is the plan? I know this year's been a wash for almost everyone, especially a lot of, right before that regional and that UFC Fight Pass a Fighter. It's been really, really tough. What is probably the plan going forward for you? What do you want to hit on something big at the end of this year, or just wait 2021 and just come out full force?
Yeah, we have a Titan fight ready for next year, so that is the focus. And
okay.
That is the ultimate goal.
Right. Talking about that, how cool is that Lex McMahon is literally that night, I think it's in December, Dominican Republic, he's putting up the hand wraps himself. He's fighting. Did you hear that or see that yet?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
It's awesome.
Definitely a guy who has a persona that fighting is not just a sport. It's something that you carry along with yourself in day-to-day life. And him taking a fight, as a promoter for an organization as prestigious as Titan FC, it says everything about his character and kind of what he stands for and, his being as a fighter. So I think it's awesome that he's doing that. And, I'm a huge fan of Lex.
Oh, no, he's the man. We've had him on numerous of times. He always gives up the time. Just a really good dude. And, it was that day and probably a day and a half before there were some leaks. There was going to be like a really big major announcement for the show. And I almost made it to the show before that, but it's been just really crazy busy times for us and our family. So I couldn't make it out there. And then, I actually heard a couple hours before, and they asked us to, keep it quiet. And I was like, Lex McMahon's fighting? Like, that is just the coolest thing, especially I think how, humongous Dana White is. Like, if Dana White ever did that, there's been funny things with him and Tito or him and Chuck or whatever. If there was anything crazy with Dana White, it would be the biggest fight ever. That would be the money fight for sure.
Yeah, I think it would be hilarious to see Dana White in the cage.
It would. And it's wild because so many people, I've been to so many events, and it's amazing. Like you said, I love the levels of being a mixed martial artist. Like, they have middle-class America, or the fans have no idea how hard it is, and they say all the time, one thing I get crazy on here, and, don't leave it to the judges, you should have finished it. Of course. Like, everyone wants to try to get a finish, but that the person they are fighting is trying to get the finish. Like, it's not easy. Like, especially in the professional level, like, to see some of these, the Michelle Waterson-Angie Hill fight. It was an unbelievable, great technician fight. Both girls are trying to finish the other girl. Like, either girl doesn't want to go to the judges, but they're both so phenomenal fighters. Sometimes it goes to the judges. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I think that every martial artist has a game plan, and they have an arsenal. They have strengths in their different levels of combat. They have weaknesses. And I think with that, a finish shouldn't be a focus. You should want to walk into that cage knowing, I can use my toolbox all 5 rounds. I don't need a quick finish. I don't need to aim for a finish. I'm comfortable enough to display my martial arts techniques. And that's my view on it. I think that the longer you last, the more you improve, and the more experience you also add on to yourself as a fighter. So, it's great to get a finish. Everybody loves to see it, but it's an even more rewarding thing to get in there for 5 rounds and be completely satisfied with your work that you've put in the entire camp.
Right. No, that's a really good point. The thing I would come back with you on is it's just, there's no scoreboard, and we can maybe even talk about that. It's one of my favorite topics to bring up. I think we should have something that the fighters know, of course, who's up, what's up, what are the judges. And I've been to so many fights. I've sat with it. I sat with promoters. They're like, oh, I think that guy won. One coach thinks that guy won. I'm a damage guy. I'm a, someone can control maybe 3.5, 4 minutes of a round, but they're just kind of controlling. They're just kind of on top. That's very, very effective. But if the last minute 30, the other opponent is doing work, is landing crisp shots, leg kicks, body shots, short elbows, whatever the case may be, I think I'm more in favor of that minute 30. I'm a damage person. So, but there's all kinds of judges. There's all kinds of. It's hard. It's almost, everyone has a different favorite movie. And I feel like sometimes in a fight, even if you're super happy with what you've done in that cage for, if it's 10, 15, 25 minutes, whatever the case may be, is sometimes the judges aren't happy with it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the term "never leave it to the judges" means go in there and dominate.
Right.
Be confident with all of the tools that you've, trained on during your camp, all of the time that you put in to make sure that you're fully equipped. Dominate, overcome your opponent, and make sure it wouldn't be anything close to a draw.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. It's almost, even you left it to the judges, you squashed, you did so well. There's just no way that they can go that way. Like there's been bad decisions before, but there hasn't been like, everyone thinks it was 30-27, all 3 judges, and it goes the other way. That usually doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Lauren, I would love for you to talk about, I know you're doing so many things in the community, so many things in Tampa. I'd love for you to pick that up and, tell our listeners about it.
Yeah, I have a inspirational speaking campaign, and I'll be visiting various schools and just empowering athletes to continue to strive for their craft, whether it's football, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, martial arts. Know why you're doing it and have a purpose. And, as long as you keep track of, what is driving you to be an athlete, you won't lose your path. And that's really important for especially the youth to know. So my inspirational speaking stems off of that, just having a purpose in what you do. And, as well as representing Tampa as the most decorated martial artist. With my karate world championships, state championships, taekwondo national championships, Olympic caliber level achievements, MMA amateur titles, professional opportunities. I do see myself as somebody that stands out, and I was very happy to get in touch with Mayor Jane, and we're going to be teaming up for this Titan fight. And I feel a lot of responsibility to represent my city and bring back the victory.
Why is it? Why are you so emotionally connected to your city, to Tampa?
Yeah, my entire martial arts career, along with its achievements, have been tied into the city. I've been a worldwide traveler for years. Out of the country, going state to state, city to city, and bringing that win back to Tampa would just make the right fit for me as a martial artist. And having the most credentials out of any other fighter, I definitely see myself as somebody that, can bring a positive influence to the industry and do something good for the city.
I like it. I like it. What's probably one goal that with mixed martial arts that you want to definitely check off the bucket list? What is one thing that you can say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, whenever it is, you can be like, yeah, okay, I did that. I'm happy. It was one of my goals. I achieved it, and I can move on.
Yeah. I want to remain as the most decorated martial artist and, be successful in all aspects of MMA and continue to just go after that goal. I like to transition. I like to explore every aspect of being an artist. And, that's the long term for me, is to, be in the Hall of Fame one day and be able to look at all my accomplishments and say, I nailed every aspect. I nailed karate, I nailed taekwondo, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and, be proud of myself for that.
Right. I've been, especially lately, seems like it's very trendy right now, grapple matches. I'm a huge fan of jiu-jitsu and grapple matches, especially the stuff they do on UFC Fight Pass. It brings such a limelight to it. And one thing I love what they do is they bring a name. They bring a bigger name, probably, usually from the UFC. And then they put him against someone that's there's one coming up, a couple weeks. There's Roxanne from Vegas, UFC fighter, been around, has a great base, has, huge fans, right? And then she's fighting in the main event, Danielle Kelly, who Danielle Kelly's been on the show. She's an unbelievable, jiu-jitsu artist. And she might transition one day into mixed martial arts, but to the UFC fan, to the regular fan, Danielle Kelly isn't a, mixed martial artist name. She's not a UFC fighter caliber name, but I love it because Danielle's a star. She's a superstar. And it kind of Roxanne bringing some of those MMA fans to grappling, and then they have a match. I think it's really great for the sport, and I just love the upward trajectory that grappling and jiu-jitsu has on like those streaming levels like UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah, the sport definitely appreciates exposure, and there are certain fighters that present themselves in different ways, and you can create great matchups between females who are looking for stardom and looking for that platform to feed into anything else they might want to do. As far as being an actress, maybe doing vocals as a singer, being a dancer. And then you have those martial arts athletes that, I only want to fight. I want to be the best, and I'm looking to win. I don't want to grow anything out of it. I'm happy with my sponsors, and that's it for me. So I think a mixture of both of those types of individuals is good for the sport. It brings a good balance for the industry.
No, I agree. Couldn't say it better. Like you need. My kids love ice cream, and sometimes the flavors they like are not the flavors that mommy and daddy likes. You know what I mean? I love vanilla bean. My wife likes mint chocolate chip. My kids like anything with 5 colors in it. All those rainbows and if it has a superhero on the cover of the ice cream bar, like that's what they like. It doesn't matter what it tastes like. Oh, it's Superman, Daddy. I'm like, no, son, it's strawberry, daiquiri. It's whatever. It's no, it's Superman. So you need it. You need different flavors. There's different flavors of ice cream. There's different flavors of mixed martial artists, men and women, and it's just an ongoing. It's just amazing to me the limelight that I think the UFC and mixed martial arts is getting, especially during this pandemic. I feels like. I'm in it, and maybe I'm too close to the force, or maybe, say, Dave, yeah, you're right, or maybe I'm off a little bit. I just think that, especially UFC as the leader, as the ornament of the sport, it's just showing a lot of different fighters, a lot of great stories. It's just showing a lot of, MMA. And it's just, it's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to work in it. It's a great time just to be around everything that's going on right now.
Yeah. I think that, again, everybody has a purpose. And especially being a competitor, you compete and win for your own personal reasons. For me, it's all about being satisfied with my performance. I'll train several hours a day and put in a lot of work during my camps. And, if I feel that didn't translate properly during my fight, whether I win or lose, it's kind of a waste.
Right.
And that's where I come from as a competitor. And, other people might take a different approach. I want to have an exciting fight. I want to, build the rest of my, endeavors. So there's a lot of different angles that you can look at it. I think that if you're a fighter, you should definitely be training regardless. You should be training every single day and practicing, that work ethic and building your craft. So I think that's the most important thing for the fighters right now to do.
Oh, absolutely. It's 2020. I can't tell you how many I know off the top of my head, 5, 7, 8 phone calls of guys, especially here in Florida, guys that we cover, guys we talk to that got a phone call. Hey, fighter dropped out of this fight because of this reason. Do you want to take this fight? No, I'm 22, 24, 28 pounds overweight, to make the weight class that they're giving me. So it's pretty wild that in 2020, and I hear a lot of fighters agree with me, and then there's a lot of fighters that disagree because they're like, hey, guys, every, football player, basketball player, baseball player, there's seasons. There are times that you are supposed to decompress, get away. Yeah, this is, be honest, eat the extra donut, whatever it is, right? There's times to get away. But UFC, there's a show, especially now, post-pandemic, literally a show every weekend. And at least there's the pay-per-view every month, and there's shows every single month. So, like, for a mixed martial artist, there is really no off-season for fighters. You can really, some guys go 2 times or 1 time a year, and there's some guys go 4 or 5 times a year. My main guy, Impa Kasanganay, he's fighting literally his 3rd fight, and within 2 months, 2 in the UFC, 1 in Dana White Contender Series, and he's like, what's next? He wants to fight 2 more times for the end of the year. So there's just different levels to it, and I think my I guess synopsis on all this, in 2020 and 2021 now, you just have to be ready. If you're a high-level MMA fighter, you just never know who's going to call you. You never know what opportunity is at the other side of that phone call.
Yeah, I think being a fighter, especially at the professional level, it really just depends on what level you're at. You need to be working every single day. It has to be a lifestyle. That's the main thing. You can't wake up in the morning and feel like you don't need to work out or feel like you don't need to eat healthy.
Right.
It should be a routine. It should be something that just becomes natural to you. So I think the lifestyle aspect is what separates the high-level athletes, compared to the lower-level athletes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Lauren, man, this has been awesome. I absolutely love chatting with you. Definitely, we're going to do it a lot more in the future. But I do want to give you this platform. I want you to talk about a lot of the sponsors, people that are helping you. And then you just open up something very, very recently?
Yeah, I recently did just reopen my martial arts studio.
Yeah, throw that out. Throw out all the information. What was the reasoning of it getting shut down or leaving it and now coming back?
Yeah, so, I like to focus on one thing at a time.
Okay.
And, last year I had my business, I had my professional debut, and being a professional athlete, again, you have to have that lifestyle. And I chose to fully focus on my fighting and put all my strength and effort into my professionalism. And I kind of, pushed my business to the side while pursuing my career. And, you know, I'm happy to be with my kids now, and we are working hard and we are grinding and keeping that level of hard work the same way that we've always had.
No, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and throw out some of those sponsors.
Yeah, so, you know, my team of sponsors, these guys have been with me for years and years and years. There's a lot of loyalty there. Replenish IV Solutions, Cryogenics and Rejuvenation, K's European Auto Repair, Oasis Tuca Lounge, New Shop Northdale, Epic Health and Fitness, Angry Elephant, Optimal Performance, Apex Performance, Rhino Guard, ATA, you know, all my love to my sponsors, and, you know, we are ready to tackle this fight.
I love it. I can't wait. And do you guys have do you have a date on it yet, or is it kind of still evolving?
Yeah, so we are shooting for April.
April, okay. Crazy. It is awesome. It is, you know, Titan FC, they came back really, really strong post-pandemic. Their shows have been awesome. A lot of them down there in South Florida, so that's really cool. And then I'm so stoked. I'm actually really following Lex McMahon on his social media platforms. He's kind of in camp. He's got a great team around him. He's going to work. But also your IG handle, Lauren Bensinger MMA, right?
Yeah.
Love that. You got it's like a necessary evil for some people. For a lot of other people, very necessary. Social media nowadays, in 2020, for me personally at least, we get so much information out there, all these podcast links and sponsorships and stuff of that nature. So we're super, super heavy on social media over here.
Yeah, it's the best way to bring exposure to yourself and, you know, raise the industry once again.
Love it, love it. Well, Lauren, it was great talking to you. You have anything else? Any last words?
No. You know, I wish, you know, all the women the best, and to just keep working. Don't stop training.
I love it. That's facts right there. Well, Lauren, it was awesome talking to you. We will do it very, very soon. We'll do it again. And be safe out there and be blessed. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
What a blast, guys. That was a great time right there. That was Lauren Bensinger. We're going to have her on more and more often. Can't wait to keep growing and learning more about her and her career. Looks like Titan FC in April, so super pumped on that. Guys, we still have a huge packed show coming up. We have Gillian the Savage Robertson coming on with our guy Aaron the Dog. Savage Sessions Volume 3. Say that 10 times fast. That's coming up at the end. Right now, we're going to have a little Impa love, and I have a Mythbuster with Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. All this is being fueled by Rude Venice. Check out our guys right now at the Rude Venice on IG. Give them tons of love. Also, check out our guys at RetroGrappler.com. The best, dopest, sickest rash guards in the business. RetroGrappler.com. And let's go absolutely bananas. We got Gillian the Savage Robertson. Here's some Impa love right now. All right, guys. So now I want to bring up something like an old metaphor, right? Something that we were taught as kids. I love sayings and analogies and metaphors. I love them. I dig them. You know, I'm a metaphor guy, I guess. One thing that I was taught as a young age, right? Any sport. And we all played basketball when we were young, and the old saying was, play for the love of the game. And it's like, okay, that's cool. Like, no one, when you were 8, 9, 10 years old and you went outside in the block and you played ball or kickball or football or baseball or got into a fight with a neighbor. Like, you didn't do it because one day you thought Reebok was going to give you a sponsorship, or you didn't do it to get your second payday in the NBA. You did it for the love of the game. And one thing I want to transition into in the MMA side of it is Impa Kasanganay. He's fighting for the love of the game. You can say what you want. You can bring up stats. Is it smart to fight 3 times in 2 months? The fighters you fight. None of that. And if you've seen him, you follow him on social media, you see him all on his interviews, see what he says. he's fighting for the love of the game. That's what he loves to do. It doesn't matter. He's not calling out for a championship. Like Chimaev is doing that a little bit, but he's kind of calling out. He's now in a weird way, he's kind of picking who he wants to fight. Is it this guy? Is it that guy? Multiple weight classes. He was already called out Stylebender. Impa Kasanganay is calling out everyone in the weight class. If you want to fight this weekend, if you want to fight on the Halloween weekend, before Thanksgiving and once in December, the man says he wants to fight. This is just kind of broke 7 times this year. We were in a pandemic, so we didn't fight until he fought the Contender Series. And now this is going to be his 3rd fight. We're mid or close to October 10th. And he wants to fight 7 times. And he's not fighting because of Reebok is paying him money. He's not fighting because of what deal he can make on the 2nd or the 3rd UFC contract. Impa Kasanganay is fighting for the love of the game. All right, guys, let me throw out a myth buster to you. It was a really popular show. I don't even know if it's on anymore. Just one of those cool shows. Very interesting. A lot of good facts. So let me throw out a mixed martial arts myth buster. Here we go. UFC 254 is around the corner. It is flying up quick. Gaethje Khabib Nurmagomedov for the lightweight championship of this world. And Khabib's fans, and I'm a fan of his as well, has this aura around him that he was the hard worker. He was the I will fight anyone to get my goal, like to the championship. He's the bear. Like he'll fight a bear. He would literally fight a bear. And of course, if I mention Khabib Nurmagomedov, I have to throw in the notorious Conor McGregor. But stick with me here. So, I'm not talking about their fight or post it. I'm talking about the road to the UFC lightweight championship. The road. And they fought numerous of guys, but let me just go on the top 4. Final 4, Mount Rushmore, everyone loves. It's my favorite number. 4. Khabib Nurmagomedov's 4 toughest competition towards that lightweight championship to achieve it. Edson Barbosa, RDA, Michael Johnson, and to win the title, Al Quinta. And that's a great 4. And that's the lightweight division for you wrapped up. And no disrespect to those guys at all, because RDA, borderline Hall of Famer, almost a 2 weight class champion. Michael Johnson, Al, tough 4. Love those 4. But let me throw to the guy that had the easy road. Let me throw to the guy that had the Dana White match made for him for the title. Let me give you Conor's 4. Max Holloway, the Diamond Dustin Poirier, Chad Mendes, and Jose Aldo. The guy that didn't lose for 19 straight fights. Are you kidding me? All 4 bona fide Hall of Famers. Dustin and Max are in a lot of top 10 pound-for-pound lists of all time, or very, very close to it. Fan favorites, go to war. They're still top level today. People still argue Max Holloway's the featherweight champion of this world. Poirier was a lightweight champion. We all know what Junior Aldo did. Like, he's one of the all-time greats. A lot of people have him on a Mount Rushmore of best MMA mixed martial artists of all time. So the easy road was Conor's. He was the hand-picked opponents. Holloway, Poirier, Junior, Mendes. And then the tough, the grit, the lunchbox, the wrestler, the grinder. His 4. Michael Johnson, RDA, Al, and Barbosa. Sometimes in life, guys, the myth needs to be busted, and this mixed martial arts, I just busted it. It's over. Conor had a tougher road for the lightweight championship. I'm not talking about their fight. I'm not talking post-it. I'm not talking about antics out of the ring. The road to the title, Conor McGregor, the notorious one, had a tougher road. There we go, guys. It's time for the Savage. It's time for Gillian Robertson, the newly minted black belt, Gillian the Savage Robertson with Savage Sessions 3. And this is being fueled by Just Blaze Clothing. Check out the website. Hit the mother site right now. Some of the sickest gear in that 305. JustBlazeClothing.com. All right, Aaron, take it away, my man.
Loading. And I have, all right. Here we go. And welcome to a special morning edition for me of Inside the Distance. We have our third volume of the Savage sessions here, and we could only have those with the Savage herself, Gillian Robertson. Good afternoon or evening from Fight Island.
Yeah, it's about 6 p.m. over here right now, so a little bit of a time change, and it's been a little bit of a hassle getting over here with all the COVID tests and everything, but we're here, and we're here to work.
Yeah, so I just had my first COVID test because I'm getting ready to go home to see my mom, an equally badass reason to have COVID tests as you. How many COVID tests have you had over the last, week?
I had one while I was still in Florida. I had one in Vegas, then a 2-day quarantine, and then fly to Abu Dhabi, get one on the first day, one on the second day, and then from every Tuesday and Thursday, everyone is tested here on the island. So every Tuesday and Friday, everybody's tested. So tomorrow, I think I have my 6th, I want to say.
Yeah, so you're just a well-traveled veteran when it comes to tests at this point. Do you do you even get nervous that you're gonna just one of these millions of tests is gonna pop up negative and you're gonna have does that even cross your mind at all, or are you just not even concerned with that?
I think it's pretty safe on the island here, and they're like I said, we're tested literally twice a week, every week, and the only person I've really seen is Dean Thomas. Other than that, I'm pretty much in my hotel room by myself, so it's not too big of a worry for me.
Gotcha. And then with Dean, of course, for those who don't know, you just had a little promotion, something you've been working at for 9 or so years. You got your promoted to your black belt by Dean. Tell me a little bit about, were you expecting that first of all? And just kind of go where you want with that. But what was that whole situation like?
So my first day out of quarantine on Fight Island here, Dean texted me and he was like, "Hey, come up to my room. I got something to give you." So I go up there and he has this big penthouse suite and he has somebody videotaping, but it's I'm used to people videotaping shit around him because he's always just doing stuff for the UFC, trying to do stuff for Instagram, things like that. So it wasn't I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then he gives me this whole speech about how we've worked together and he sees things that he used to see in himself in his fight career and me, and that he wants me to be his legacy and that kind of carry on his name, carry on his style. So and then after that he pulled out the black belt, and in that moment I was able to keep myself composed. I didn't want to cry in front of Dean. Yeah. But then the second I left his hotel room, I was crying the whole way back to my hotel room, walking past people just with tears down my eyes and a black belt in my hands. And I'm everybody probably thinks I'm insane right now. And then obviously it was 3 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that over in where all my friends and family live. So I was texting everybody excited as anything, and nobody's getting back to me because everybody's sleeping. So I'm just here in my hotel room, excited as anything, sobbing my eyes out, and just by myself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, congratulations again. It's just I've said it before, but you and Dean, I think it's just one of these duos that it's so unique for this sport and just in general. And yeah, you could not deserve it more. Yeah, congrats from Dave here. He's saying that's not me writing congrats there, although I also agree. Garrett also joining in, and then save us in 2024, which I don't think she'll be old enough still to be our president, but she's Canadian. But that is just that's a huge deal. Where does that kind of rank within kind of accomplishments you've had within kind of combat sports in general?
Honestly, it's probably the biggest to this point in my career, probably in line with making it to the UFC, because it is just something that I've worked so hard for over the years. And it's something that it's really a respect thing from Dean for me. For the last 2 years, I've had my brown belt, and or maybe even more than that. But people have always told me, I actually think it's been 3 years since I've had my brown belt. For the last year at least, I've had everyone tell me, they're like, you deserve a black belt, you need to have a black belt. And I'm just sort of like, yeah, whatever. It means nothing to me when other people say it. But to actually have that acknowledgement from Dean Thomas that he believes me, he believes in me to this point, and he believes that I'm at that level, that's what really means the world to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, I think it's really cool. As much as I would love to see you get in the octagon, kind of like Tyron Woodley's style or something, I think it's so much more fitting for you two to have that moment between the two of you. And then I can't imagine that feeling you had at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., just like, or, you know, obviously it's not for you there. Like it's the middle of the day there or whatever. It's evening, and just like, you're just waiting for like the people you care about to like wake up so you can share like, hey, hey, mom and dad, like the last 9 years were for something, like, and it's just like, you're always proving something to yourself as a competitor. And I mean, these hours you put in to get this black belt, they're not showing up on the TV screens. You know, you post on Instagram, but you're not like a lot of other fighters where you're posting every time you seem to train, because otherwise you'd have endless stories. So it's like, I just really respect, and I think it's so fitting how you got your black belt. So, I mean, you're the UFC record holder currently for most submissions and finishes in the UFC. So it just, as a, you know, from the female division. So it makes sense at the same point, you know, so.
Dean said to me whenever he gave it to me, he's like, in jiu-jitsu and in fighting, we don't necessarily have like a college degree where you get your diploma. So this is like that for me. This is that like graduating moment where it's like, I finally deserve this. But it's really just the beginning. Like there's levels to this shit, and black belt is just the start.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll stop patting you on the back for it now, because I know you're not a fan of that anyway. So, so shifting a little bit here. It's been here's Sam putting in a little bit of love for you as well. So, you know, there you go. No longer the brown belt hottie. You're not a black belt hottie. So congrats. You are a huge part of Inside the Distance, whether you realize it or not. I mean, Garrett's kind of beating us to it here, but you have been a red hot kind of money making machine as you've started to bet on fights. And it started out as like you were using us for advice, but now it's like you kind of listen a little bit. I mean, you were tuning into the comments last week, you know, whether that's because you're trapped in your room in quarantine or not. We're not going to, you know, acknowledge that. We're going to pretend that it's because we're must see TV. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m., by the way, people. Anyways, you've started to bet on fights a little bit. And you're really, really good at it. You've got the biggest upset in UFC history with Shayna Dobson. And most bettors would be like, okay, you bet on Shayna Dobson. You not only did that, you parlayed Shayna Dobson into like parlay with Frankie Edgar and I think a few other parlays. And the entire time I might have been saying something to the effect of you're donating money. And so, you know, what do you feel that fighters kind of bring a little bit of an edge when it comes to reads on fights that someone like myself never stepped into the octagon, never come close to, don't quite, because I definitely noticed some. So I'm curious your perspective from betting and what that's been like for you.
Honestly, like, yeah, I have been fairly successful so far. I've only been betting for like probably 3 or 4 months, and I think I've put $75 in total, and I've made like I think 800 or 900 out of it so far. So
that's insane. About that. Yeah, that's insane. Like we need to have you on at one point to break down a card when you're not so busy. But like, yeah, like I mean, that's a rate that, I mean, these professional podcast odds makers, these people who are selling their picks are not making that kind of money. So it's every week it's successful.
I feel like being a fighter, like you said, like we do have a little bit more of an insight. Like I can, I guess you can break people down a little bit easier. And I just know what I'm looking at a little bit more. Obviously, you guys study it more than anything, but it's like, I study it in a different kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, you've trained with especially with the female fights at this point. I'm not betting on female fights without at least trying to get some information out of you, because it's like your reads on these are so spot on because you've trained with so many of these girls, I think, and competed against them. And in general, even if you haven't, I think you just, you've got a really sharp mind and a read on those fights particularly. So it's like, which has always been a weakness of mine. So I appreciate it. I've made a lot of money since you've started betting on fights also. Because I missed out on the Shayna Dobson one. I was like, you're insane, like more insane than usual. I
did the one bet on Shayna, and then I did a 2-fight parlay with Shayna and Frankie, and that like sent me over the moon. I think it was like a $5, and then I got like $200 or $300 out of it.
I mean, it's just like these are absurd things. I mean, these are just like absurd, and it fits. I mean, with like what you've done your career so far. I mean, before the UFC, through the UFC, you've faced pretty much good competition throughout. I am going to shift now to Pollyanna a little bit. Get some thoughts on Pollyanna Bontello. I hope everybody watching knows that you fight next week on the featured prelim. So we're not on the main card yet, but we're the featured prelim. So like, I'm getting a little more happy. You're going to have a number next to your name, which is something that I don't think you're paying attention to at this point, which I respect completely. And I give you a lot of credit taking a fight with Pollyanna here, who, while she's lower in the rankings, she's a very, very dangerous, legitimate fighter. She had a 30-second finish, obviously, of Suri Kondo with that body kicks. But the fight that I know that we've both watched a little bit, and I definitely saw a little bit of a path to victory, was the Cynthia Calvillo fight. For one, I have my thoughts on Cynthia Calvillo and her rise in the flyweight division so quickly. It's a fight I will not hide. I want to see you get back at some point. You did fight her at a close decision before you're in the UFC, right before you got into Tough House. But what are your thoughts on Pollyanna? She's coming off a win about a year and a half ago off Lauren Mueller, who we had our opinions on also. I'll stay respectful here though. Everybody who's here is legit, works hard, of course. So I've definitely been doing a little Instagram stalking on Pollyanna. She's definitely working hard, doing a lot of like explosive jumping over hurdles and, box jumps and all these other things, that are very, very neat for Instagram. Bomb dia. What are your thoughts on your opponent? And was there even a thought on when it was an opponent that wasn't exactly known after a pretty well-known fighter in Courtney Casey, who was ranked?
I guess like my thought process is, if I want to be the champion one day, I have to be able to beat all these girls. So why didn't I fight? Like it's just more money in my pocket. Like I should be able to beat her. Like, especially looking at her record in the UFC right now, she's 3-1, and all 3 of her wins are against girls who have losing records in the UFC, or they've been cut from the UFC already. So I don't feel like they're necessarily impressive wins. And like you said, she lost to Cynthia Calvillo, who first round finish. And I feel like that's ideally how my fight's gonna go, is same kind of way that Calvillo did it. I keep on saying that I want to beat her. Like, she got it at like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So I'm just trying to get a little bit faster than her.
I mean, you literally finished your last fight by a rear naked choke with no hooks in. And Pollyanna, in each one of her fights, whether she's won or lost, when she gets to her feet, gives up her neck and back as she gets to her feet every time. And her neck is long. Her neck is very long. She's this is another strawweight, and, who's moving up the flyweight again. So, it's just and that leads me to another thing. You as a flyweight, there's so many things that are unique as you as a flyweight. For one, you're 25, the only one who's ranked in the top 10 with both their ACLs, who's under 26. For two, you have your weight pretty much on point at this point. You're at what, 127 or something? Like, it's just, it's like you're literally gonna have to wake up and maybe cut a little bit of weight. The advantage that leads to you is just absolutely insane to me. Because you're one of the strongest, definitely when it comes to grappling, I think are the strongest person in this division. You're able to keep that strength and push that gas to get to finish with 30 seconds to go in your last fight. And you had plenty to go too. And meanwhile, your opponent couldn't stop from calling you a fucking blanket. Which is just still one of the most like insane things I've heard in a fight. I couldn't believe it. And you were just flowing in there. I know that you said you weren't a huge fan of the fight because you didn't get to punch her in the face enough, but it's just like, I mean, my mom watched the fight. My mom doesn't watch anybody's fights except yours. And your fight was like the second fight she's ever watched in her life. And she's like, she just has tremendous body control. Like my mom even knows you're a black belt. So, my mom has, an eye for talent. No, she's not fighting a ostrich featured presentation, but she is fighting a Brazilian named Pollyanna Bontello. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight for sure. And just I guess, like, before I let you go, because I know you got to train again here, and I mean, just in general, like you do a lot of interviews. It's one of the things I really do respect with you. As much as I'd love for you to just be our little interview, like you're out there, you're like the hardcore fans like dream for a reason. Like you're like, whether it's 5, it doesn't matter. You're doing all these interviews. And so I do appreciate you again making the time. And I was happy to get up and do this ahead of time. I've had both dogs right next to me the whole time. So Chico not able to wake up for the fights. Dozer either, but they're both big fans. I know you've been away from Rob, amongst other things. Like, you've been away from pretty much everything you love, except for you get to be away from people basically by hanging on that's the one thing you've got to hang on to. But you don't have your dog. You've got a little bit of a beach scene there, but like, you don't have your dog. You haven't been smoking weed for over a week now, I believe, at this point, which as a pothead, I find commendable, and I know how challenging that is. But I mean, you were able to get over there a little bit early because of Dean working with looking for a fight and everything. Overall, compared to the Vegas scene you had for your last fight, thoughts on Fight Island? Would you be, David asked the question too, would you be interested in coming back to Fight Island later this year? Yeah, with how it goes.
I guess, like, Fight Island is awesome, obviously, but ideally I wouldn't like to fly as much. It's a dope experience to be able to see everything. But personally, like, I would like to, I love the fight more than anything else. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to fight. I don't like necessarily the traveling, or like you said, leaving my dog, or things like that. I don't necessarily like all this stuff, but sacrifices have to be made if you want to reach your goals. So it's like, those are sacrifices that I'm willing to make for a couple weeks just to get there, get my hand raised, and I'm ready to get back home and be in my bed with a joint.
Yeah, like I mean, that's why I really brought it up. I mean, it's just like, it's a consistency with you that I see, where you are willing to sacrifice the comforts, willing to sacrifice the higher amount of Instagram followers, because you're more interested in working here than doing other things to get more attention to yourself. So I just really, commend that. And I do know that is a challenge. Anyway, with all of the tests right now with negative marijuana tests, reversing fights, just had Taekwon Jones, the guy who won a few weeks ago, he tested positive. A few others are testing positive for weed right now. So it's really just one less thing, I guess, to even concern about, but it's just a weird thing in general. Hopefully they figure this out in 2021, why there's all of a sudden people testing positive for weed again.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of these COVID fights, like the fights that have been happening during this COVID period, that they're short notice fights. So it's like, I know with Tim Elliott, he had the same issue where he took a fight on like less than a week's notice and tested positive for marijuana. But like, other than that, like, I've definitely cut it too close. I've definitely pushed my limits with how close I've smoked coming up to a fight. And I've been like hitting a weed pen on the way to the airport on Monday morning, and then fought on Saturday, and I've been fine. So I really think it's like, it has to be the short notice fights, or these guys are just like smoking fight. That's the only way.
They're just like and then just like because they all had the dab excuse at once, which is just like, okay, like this is like literally one guy saw it, and then they're all just like, sure, let's blame dabs, like let's go. But either way, just so I mean, you would consider Fight Island again, but it in general wouldn't be your preference.
No matter what, I'm down to fight. If they offer me a fight, it doesn't matter where it is. I'm going to that place. But preferably, I'd love Vegas.
Yeah. So you're about a week out now. Do you do anything because you're going to be fighting at about like 3 a.m. local time or so? Actually, I believe your card starts at 7:30 Eastern time, meaning it would be like starting at 4 a.m. I believe. So you're probably going on around 6 a.m. Fight Island time.
Yeah, my coach Dean Thomas, obviously, he has a little bit connections with the higher ups in the UFC. So he was able to get a little bit more of an accurate fight time for me. So depending on how fast the earlier fights go, they said I should be fighting probably around 5 to 5:30 a.m. over here, which isn't too rough. Like I know there's some fights that were starting at like 3 a.m. and that would have been a rough one for me.
Yeah. I was following Tracy Cortez, who I think has been staying up and like keeping a totally normal, like staying up in the middle of the night throughout the entire time she's there. So it's just so like you're basically not seeing anybody other than Dean. It's just you, Dean. Occasionally you run into some other fighters, and that is pretty much it at this point.
Oh yeah, essentially. I went to the pool on the first day, but it's like that's all there really is to do here. There's the pool, the beach, or the hotel room, and it's like I have so much to focus on. I meditate, I visualize, I read, I do a lot of mental work every single day. So it's like I'm focused on that a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it's interesting watching different fighters and how they're experiencing or enjoying Fight Island. You're seeing some of these fighters who are fighting this week who are like riding bikes around the F1 track or, doing all this other stuff that it's just like, I don't see you doing any of that. And like, I just, I really, really, kind of respect that a lot, and it's just it's just consistent. You've been able to fortunately get a few more fights in this year after kind of the slow start. Hopefully you finish out strong here with another couple fights before the end of the year. You've really you had the trip up against Macy Barber last October 17th, and now this October 17th, you get to kind of reset that date. So that can be a date you don't have to kind of be pissed about when you see October 17th come around on the calendar. So, I guess, so Garrett does want to know about the Cortez fight. He's curious if you're at all aware of Stephanie Eggers, who's a pretty big 125er. I think she's fought at bantamweight a lot, or at 130. They're at bantamweight. She's fought at featherweight at times. So do you have any thoughts on that fight, or kind of any fights on, the card coming up this weekend, or are you kind of focused?
I would say, honestly, haven't looked into it too much. I actually haven't even heard of Stephanie before. I've never watched her fight, so I'm not really sure about that one, but I'm definitely going to be looking into the fights, maybe try to place a few bets if I can this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you have to find a surrogate in America to make your bets for you. Since there's been a couple things that have been held up being in Abu Dhabi, morals and everything like that. But anyways, I won't keep you too much longer here. I think that it's pretty clear your prediction is a finish of any kind in the first round, preferably that rear naked choke, though.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm always searching for the throw. It's like that's just my thing. Everybody knows it's coming, and I'm still gonna get it. So I'm always it's just a race to get to the throw. See how fast I can get there.
That is excellent news to hear. But as you do know, you are a -300 favorite currently. So the secret's finally out. Like, folks have finally woken the fuck up on Gillian Robertson, and I'm bummed from a betting perspective, but it just means that, we're going to get a little more creative this next weekend. And, if you are up tonight, we'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is, just a nice, cool 4 a.m. for you. So if you are having trouble sleeping, we'll be there for you. But otherwise, we'll be talking soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing you perform next Saturday. It's going to be on ESPN starting at 7:30 Eastern. You are fighting Pollyanna Bontello on the featured prelim main event. So, Gillian, thank you as always. We'll catch up after the fight too. And, I just have a great day there, and keep up the grind. And congratulations on the black belt again. I really do mean that. And I appreciate you making the time while you're over there to catch up with me and say hi to Rob on your FaceTime later if I haven't missed that too.
Thank you. It was awesome talking to you.
Awesome to talk to you as always. See you later.
Bye.
All right. And that is all. So time to see the numbers go down as it's just me here. We will be back this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Garrett and I, to cover our fights as always on Inside the Distance. We'll be covering the fights for this Saturday and looking to make that money. As always, go follow Gillian at Savage UFC on Instagram. Show her some love. She's going to go and get that neck, as she said, this upcoming next Saturday. And Craig will be talking about Impa later tonight. I just kind of wanted to come on early today to catch up with Gillian. She's our favorite here, my favorite especially. And so we'll definitely be covering Impa later, but we are big fans of him for sure. And this weekend he's going to kill it again. So that guy is right up there as another special fighter. But that's all for this morning. It's 10:30 in the morning. I got to get to work now, walk some dogs. So I will see you all tonight at 8 p.m. for some bets with my boy, Garrett, the fight analyst. So let's get that money, baby, and have a great day. Kill it out there, people. Peace.